Hey, cousins. Yes, it's my PTO day, but you know what? Why not? Why not? Got a lot of hot content coming your way. Just stay tuned. That's it. Stay tuned. I kind of feel like, let me tell you what I feel like. Once you hit a certain number on YouTube, I'm at 5,000. Thank you to all the cousins. Either three things is happening. YouTube has slowed down, pushing me out. Maybe the cousins are disenchanted with the product, thus not really interested in wrestling conversation, or I'm not rising to the occasion to hold the audience to make you want to click and view. I don't know. Those all three things can be valid. I think the third one, my actual work ethic, has absolutely nothing to do with the slowdown of Le Channel. Okay? Not going to stop me or anything like that. It's just something I noticed. It's something I noticed. I like looking at analytics and trends and seeing what everybody's got going on. And listen, that just makes it all the more delicious when I finally hit the goals that I have set for me. With that being said, the ongoing discussion about pay and we hungry and we starving and everyone's confused. I'm the one confused. I'm the one confused here. I'm looking at Denise Salcedo, which I'm going to be honest with you is extremely difficult to watch. Lovely woman. Have nothing against her. But my God, her interview style is very frantic and it's something I'm not used to. Growing up, I had Dan Rather and Tom Brokaw and Oprah and all of those interview styles where they ask you the question and then they stop talking. She doesn't stop talking, thus making the interview very difficult for me to get to because I'm like, can you shut the fuck up, ask the question, stop, and get the answer? But, bless her heart, that's the way she gets down or whatever. And, it is what it is. So I was over there on Denise Salcedo, and she was talking to Bea Priestley, a.k.a. Gigi Dolan, a.k.a. infamous for pulling out a prop bloody tampon and shoving it down her opponent's throat. She was messing with Darby Allin. His way of wooing her was putting hot sauce in his anus. Now, you might think I'm sitting here making it up because I usually embellish, but all of that's true. You can Google it. All of it's true. Go back in the crates, The Curious Case of Gigi Dolan, and I give you all of the interviews. Very pretty woman. I just hate those face earrings. Them face piercings are just, lip rings for some reason just make you look filthy, at least in my opinion. So here's the conversation. This is what I'm confused about. Everyone knows WWE. Been around well before I was born. I'll be 45 next year. I know, right? I know. Well, this is the granddaddy of them all. Over 50, we could even say 60 years of WWE. And part of those 60 illustrious years is the lore that WWE brings with it, the stories, the idea of the Fed, right? Before they became Wrestling Entertainment, the Fed has always had terrible hiring practices. Well-known terrible hiring practices, okay? Even worse, back in the day, in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 90s, you were struggling and working as hard as possible to get the most money you could get to feed your family. None of this is news. So I guess my confusion is why in the fuck is this news to these new wrestlers? Why is this news to them? Who's confused? When you go get a job, being raised by boomers, right? I'm an older millennial. All of my siblings are Gen Xers. So I've pretty much been raised the same way they've been raised for the most part. So the way they tell us how to get jobs is you find the job you want. You used to could go in, pound the flesh, and show your face and give your resume. All of that's done. So you find a job you want, find out what the salary is, start high in your negotiation, work your way down a little bit, meet in the middle. You don't go no lower than what it is. Now, as an independent contractor, which I've worked as, okay, that was for a cleaning. I was an independent contractor cleaning Barnes and Nobles and office buildings, stuff like that. Listen, the work was fine. I was getting paid. Now, mind you, nothing was covered. This was the person was just writing the check out to me, and it was my money or whatever. I had to pay taxes on all of that, which I didn't, by the way. But but I was well aware that as an independent contractor, I had to cover everything. Everything had to be covered. Unless I was contracted to a person that owned, they would provide me with the things that I needed to clean with, but I would go essentially do all the cleaning. Now, if I wanted some bells and whistles, those are things I had to pay for. So when comparing that to wrestling, and before you say, what I got to do, when you're wrestling, you have to buy everything. That is well known through the wrestling business. That's well known to us people that Bea Priestley said to shut the fuck up because we don't know what we're talking about. But how come everyone already knew what came with the bill to be a WWE superstar? I knew that. You knew that. Your uncles knew that. Your daddies knew that. Your mama's mama knew that. Grandma, who used to watch wrestling, she knew that, and her boyfriend. So why is it that these pro wrestlers didn't know that? Listening to Gigi Dolan, I'm going to go between her names, y'all. Listening to Gigi Dolan, Bea Priestley, I literally sat here like I said, is this woman detached from fucking reality? This is why when Jinder Mahal stepped out to explain to us the salaries of pro wrestlers, no one gave a fuck because we all know what you have to do. Because we have to do it too. Only difference is I'm not on TV. Gigi said the perception is everyone in WWE is a millionaire. Who thinks that? Who thinks that besides little kids? I even use football. Everybody on the field is nowhere near a millionaire. Just probably I don't know how many people's on the football team, right? So we'll just say 20. Out of 20, I'm going to say 5 of them are probably millionaires. One might even be a billionaire, and that's probably the quarterback, right? Everyone else is in, the low 100,000s. You might even get maybe a nice 500,000 in there and all that. And then they have their union, and then they're covered, and there's certain things, whoop, whoop, whoop. So, guaranteed contract, like all of that has to come into play. But for the most part, everyone on the field isn't a millionaire. So who thought that everyone in WWE is a millionaire because they're on TV? Who thought that? I just can't understand where she got that from. Now, if you're on X and you're going back and forth with, those humans, I'm pretty sure being trolled, yeah, they'll say dumb shit like that. But people who have conscious thoughts and brains know full well you all aren't human because we know you have to pay for your travel expenses. That includes plane, hotel, food, right? Rent-a-cars, right? If you want a nice presentation, you have to pay for those outfits, seamstress. All of that has to be paid for, okay? Like, we know that. Why? Because I watch Total Divas, and I watched them complain about having to pay for everything. I watched behind-the-scenes documentaries of pro wrestling, and even Beyond the Mat. I watched them pay for their travel. I watched Jake the Snake Roberts sit in a hotel room and prepare himself to, shoot crack in Beyond the Mat. I believe that was Beyond the Mat. Yeah, I watched that. If you watch the Ice, not Ice, I'm sorry, the Vice documentary about pro wrestling, right? Where is they're telling you, well, what happened was we were traveling, we all got into a rental car because we got to pay for all that, and we was traveling, and then such and such decided he wanted to shoot up crack or whatever. We all understand that. Now, if you're in the good old boys club, you get the perks. If you're at the top in that small circle, you get the perks. If you are a Nepo baby, you're going to get the perks. Like, we all knew this because what they do in WWE isn't that much different than what they do in just any other job. WWE has terrible management. Most jobs have terrible management. All of this is by design. That's a whole nother conversation. So listening to her talk, I'm sitting here like, so you all know that you make more money on the indies. Everybody's like, we make more money on the indies. And they're just like, what? You knew that coming in. You need to say, which no one's saying this, I joined WWE knowing I was going to be restricted. And my money wasn't going to be right. My money was going to be funny. I came into WWE because, one, that was a dream of mine. 2, I wanted the exposure. 3, I wanted to learn some things. And 4, I wanted to raise my stock on the indies. The only reason why you're making money now is because you were in the WWE. And by no means am I defending the WWE, but I'm just saying, I'm confused by their confusion.
Unless you, knew.
Yeah. I think in general, I think just as a whole, fans and some wrestlers too, I think people just need to, if you have no knowledge on what you're talking about, maybe just don't talk about it. Because a lot of times, us wrestlers will look at these fans online and the stuff they're saying, and they're just so clueless, but they think they know everything about our lives, about our money, about our work, about our bodies. They think they know everything about us. And we look at these fans sometimes and we just shake our heads like, you guys have no clue. I think there's a big epidemic right now of people just speaking out of their ass because they don't know I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what's going on in this person's life, that person's life. You don't know what a person's going through. You don't know what their finances look like. You don't know how they're feeling mentally. They've been through, none of us truly know what's going on in anyone's personal lives or with their personal stuff. And I think a lot of people need to stop speaking like they do, because we don't know what it's like to be in our other people's shoes. And with Jasmine, I think people are just so quick to jump on somebody and jump on a hate train, whether it's with Jasmine Nix or there's stuff with Ridge Holland now. And there's been a lot of other people that people just love to jump on this hate train and just say on, at the end of the day, we don't know what's going on, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether a good person, whether they're a piece of shit. We don't know. None of us truly know what's going on behind the scenes. So what gives anybody the right to speak on their behalf like they are so smart and know exactly what they should and shouldn't be doing? We don't know, but it just makes me so mad, people jumping on the hate train. And I'm not on anybody's side. I'm not against anybody. I'm just saying as a whole that people need to stop speaking out of their ass and people need to stop assuming so much.
I think that
okay, that was a lot to take in, but I have to give a little bit of pushback, and then I'm gonna wrap it up here. A lot of times we do know, and I'm gonna tell you why. Bea Priestley, whatever Priest, I don't even know, child. Gigi Dolan. I'm gonna tell you why. Because you all open your lives to your fans to the point where your fans feel like they can speak for you, they can fight for you, they can do all of that. You all mobilize your fans to attack when it's in your favor. But when it's no longer in your favor and you're out here doing dumb shit and people got questions and they're spending money with you, they feel invested. She brought up Jasmine Nix. Now, Jasmine Nix is the whole reason why this conversation is going as long as it's going. Jasmine Nix said something we already know. You hoes ain't getting paid. Okay? You hoes ain't getting paid. And y'all thought, oh, I'm working hard and stuff. Why they not paying me? I'm only making $60,000, $70,000 and I'm out here about to die. She opened it up and I appreciate her doing that. And since then, you all have been trying to close it. Well, the box is open. And then you mentioned Ridge Holland. Ridge Holland is asking people for help. He is asking for, you don't know what it's like to be in people's shoes. Empathy. I don't have to be a pro wrestler to know that you probably aren't making a whole lot of money. Okay? Y'all get on these platforms and you make your weird post, and we're trying to figure out who you're talking about. You want a connection with your audience, so you try to relate to them. So you give them a little bit of information. So we do know what's going on. We're not speaking out of our ass, especially if you're trying to have a nuanced conversation. So I'm going to leave it right here. I just think it's bizarre that all of a sudden, no one knew what they were getting into when they were going into the Fed, the WWE. No one knew. I didn't know that you could make more money on the indies. I didn't know. Are you joking? Everyone knows. It works like any other job, except it's on TV. But I think that's more of a I don't know, maybe we're pro wrestlers and you're not, so you should shut up. No, there's independent contractors in the world, not just pro wrestlers. There are actual employees in the world, not being independent contractors disguised as pro wrestlers and being exploited. You all sign up to be exploited. So at the end of the day, who's really the dumb fuck in this whole conversation? I'm going to leave it right there. Do you